September 30th, 2009. The Child Welfare Information Gateway estimated that the U.S. held 423,773 children in its foster care system. Now, having very little background into foster care, I was never a foster care um, participant. My parents never had foster care kids. I know little about the topic. However, as an aspiring psychologist, um, hoping to work in a field like this, it holds great interest for me. Also, just as an American citizen, knowing there are so many children in the foster care system and continuing to stay in Nebraska's foster care system, I need to know more about this topic. Therefore, in order to research this, I went into the history, found out where foster care started, and then moved into the current foster care system, and finally tried to learn a little bit more about what the children experience in foster care and the whole process that they walk through. The history of foster care. Before I can get too far into the history, we must define foster care. ChildWelfare.gov cites that in the Code of Federal Regulations, foster care is defined as a 24-hour substitute care for children outside their own home. Now, this holds a lot of leeway. Very few children are in foster care for merely 24 hours. Generally, they're in it for weeks, months, years, some their whole childhood. But where did it begin? How did it all occur? How could children even be placed in such an institution? The Children's Aid Society explains that in the mid-1800s, thousands of orphans lived on the streets. They were cold, hungry, and had nowhere to go. To help relieve this problem, Charles Loring Brace began attempting to place children in rural homes. Thus the orphan train. Now, we've all heard about the orphan train. We've all read the idealistic novels where kids can be placed on farm families, and it generally has a positive light. However, there was much improvement that needs to be made. This lasted until the early 1900s, and at this point, the Federal Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997 was passed. This allowed more protection for children, however, according to Murray and Geserich, the system still had much room for improvement, which is where we come to the current foster care system. The foster care system is continually evolving and changing and adapting to best fit each child. However, there's still many changes that need to be made. But on the positive side, the Children's Bureau in 2012 stated that these changes have been a good thing for the system. And as with the orphan train in the 1800s, families were rarely screened. There was much abuse that they found later, but there was little that could be done, as no abuse laws were even passed at that time. However, with the Social Security Act of 1962, the children were placed in more secure locations, and today there is much more regulating which families can be chosen to be a foster care parent. Often, parents have to go through a variety of classes and information, such as the agency Adopt Us Kids uses PRIDE, which stands for Parent Resources for Information and Education. Again, this is just classes that parents must take that are even thinking about foster care, and so that they can learn how to best parent the children that will be coming and entering into their home. So we've discussed the history of foster care. We've discussed from the perspective of the parents and what they must do and how they must be aware of how to best help their child. But what about the child? What is the child feeling and experiencing through this whole process? Well, I'd like you to imagine this child. Imagine a child who's continually placed from home to home to home. According to Princeton University, who did much research on this topic in 2012, this child experiences much separation anxiety and other struggles, which can be understood as they don't know who to trust and who to hold on to and who will be there for them the next day, the next week, or the next year. So now you know. Now you know that foster care originated with the orphan train, and that the Children's Society came in and helped evolve it to be more structured, and children went into homes that had greater selection. This continued to deepen as now parents are screened much more and even have to go through a variety of classes. We learned that the foster care system is not always easy for the child. They often experience many struggles that they have to work through later in life. So now that you know the information, you can decide what you want to do with it. You can delve deeper into it, learn more about the facts, maybe even choose to look into becoming a foster parent at some point, as I personally wish to be, or something like I am doing in the near future, working with a foster care agency. The choice is yours. Thank you.